You can use an ebook to capture leads on your website. Simply ask for users' email address in return of the free ebook, and then you can target those users and sell your products or services. Or you can use an ebook to build brand awareness, or maybe create a handbook for your students. There are literally thousands of ways in which you can use an ebook in your business. But creating an ebook is difficult, especially if you're not used to writing. From thinking about what chapters to include in the ebook, to what subtopics to include under each chapters, to writing the actual content of the ebook. It is a time-taking process. But what if I tell you, you can create an ebook on any topic possible in under just 8 minutes using ChatGPT APIs and Python? Sounds mind-blowing, right? So in this video, we will write a Python program that will be using the ChatGPT APIs to create content for the ebook. And this will be a beginner-friendly video, so I'll be explaining everything as we write the code step by step. So no more copying and pasting from ChatGPT. Just use this program and create as many ebooks as you want. At the end of this video, I will also show you how you can access the code that we'll be writing in this video and how you can run it yourself on your machine. So stay tuned. If you're new to this channel, my name is Mohammed Shahrukh and I make videos on coding and AI. So let's get started. Fire up a text editor of your choice and create a virtual environment. So I've already created a virtual environment. Let's activate it using the command env/bin/activate. After that, let's install the only dependency that we'll be needing for this project. I'll install pip install OpenAI. Now, after that, let's start to write the code. I'll create a new file called main.py file. So let's start by importing OpenAI. And after importing OpenAI, let's create a new client of OpenAI. Now, for this line of code to work, you should have your OpenAI API keys in your environment variables. So let's do it like this: export OpenAI API key equals to the value that you obtain from the OpenAI website. So an ebook will have multiple chapters, and each of these chapters will have their own subheadings. Now, the way we want to develop this program is that we just need the title of the ebook, and the rest things will be taken care of by ChatGPT. So let's declare a new function. I'll call it create chapters for title, and we will be only providing the title of the ebook as a function parameter. So let's print a line so that we get to know what title we are getting in the parameter. Now, after that, we will be calling the ChatGPT completions API. So this function basically expects a few parameters, one of them being the model name. So model name is the model that you will be using for calling this API. And after that is the response format. So for this API call, we will be enabling the JSON mode. And a JSON mode ensures that the response that you get is always a valid JSON. And after that, let's supply the max tokens as 3000. After that, let's specify the messages array. A message can be either a user message, a system message, or a message by the assistant. So first of all, we'll specify a system message, and we will be specifying that you are a creative ebook writer and give the output as JSON. Now, a system message basically sets the tone of the assistant, and it also gives some context to the assistant. And over here, we need to specify that we need the output as JSON because it's a requirement when we are enabling the JSON mode. So after that, let's add a user message. And this is where we will be telling the assistant that, all right, I need to create content for the ebook. So let me show you the entire prompt. So it is write the chapters and subheadings for the ebook titled the title. So I'm just telling the assistant that give me the chapters and subheadings because this is the function that will be returning the chapters and the titles of the ebook. After that, I'm also telling the assistant that make the chapter names as keys and the list of subheadings as values. So it will be giving me the chapters as key, and then it will give me all the subheadings under those chapters. And after that, I'm also telling it that I need 10 chapters, and for each chapters I'll be needing 4 subheadings. So I'll have to be clear and precise when I'm providing a prompt to the ChatGPT. After that, let's write the response that we get from the API to a file. So I'll be opening a new file called chapters.json, and this is where I'll be just writing the content that we get from this API response. Now, first of all, let's print the response, and it is as usual, it is there in response.choices, the first choice, and message and the content. And after that, let's just put the JSON object into the file. Now, the reason why we are writing it to a file is so that we can do our proofreading. So let's say if ChatGPT gave us 10 chapters and 4 subheadings for each chapters, and let's say we don't like one of the subheadings and we don't want it to be part of our ebook. So in that case, we can just delete that subheading from this file. And later on, when we'll be generating the actual content of the ebook, at that time we'll be taking the data from this file, right? So in that case, you'll be sure that only the chapters that you are interested in will be included in the ebook. So let's import JSON as well. Import JSON. Okay, so now it's time that we test our function which we just wrote. So let's call this function create chapters for titles, and let's say I'm trying to create an ebook with the title of how to write a children's book effectively is the title of my ebook. And let's see what chapters and subheadings it gives me. So I will run the file now, python main.py. So it gave me the output and it created a chapters.json file. So you can see that it gave me 10 chapters, and for each of these chapters, it gave me 4 subheadings each, right? So it is working fine. Okay, so now it's time to proceed to the next function, which will actually create the content for each of the subheadings. So let's create that function. So I'll call it create chapter content, and it will receive 3 parameters. One is the ebook title, the chapter, and the subheading. So let's print a few lines. So we will be calling this function for all the subheadings of the chapter. So we want to differentiate the responses. So that's the reason I'm printing this line over here, and this line basically tells me what parameters we are getting in this function. So after that, let's call the chat completions API. So just the way we did before, we will be calling it over here again. So for the parameters, the model name will be the same, GPT 3.5 Turbo 1106. And we will be supplying max tokens as 3000. And then let's specify the messages. So in the messages array, the first message will be a system message. And in the system message, this time we will be telling ChatGPT that you are a creative ebook writer. And we will tell it the title of the ebook. And we will also give it some context like that each chapter of the ebook has subheadings, so that it knows that how the book is organized, right? So let's add a user message now. In the user message, I will be specifying that I'll be basically telling ChatGPT to write the text content for the subheadings title, this subheading, under the chapter title, this chapter, and I'm asking ChatGPT to be elaborate and clear. And I'm also asking it to include the chapter name and the subheading in the final response. After that, let's just print the response that we get so that we can read it once. And then I'll be also returning the response from this function. So as always, let's test this function as well. Let's call create chapter content, and for the title of the ebook, I'll supply how to write children's book effectively. And in the chapter, let's say the chapter name is plan your book. And in the subheading, I will say gather your ideas, right? So let's see what output we get. So I will run the program by python main.py, and let's see. Okay, so it gave me a lot of text, and it has given me the content for the subheading and under the chapter. So it's finally time that we write our main function. And in the main function, we will be calling these 2 functions. So the way I'm planning it is that, let's say I have a title for an ebook, and I give that title to this program. This program should give me chapters and subheadings for the title. But let's say if I'm not satisfied with those chapters, it should give me a fresh copy of chapters and subheadings. So let's proceed with writing the main function. So first of all, let's input the title from the user. So this is where I'll be entering the title of my ebook. Next, I've declared a variable called satisfied, and I'll be using this variable just to check when the user is satisfied with the set of chapters and the subheadings that are generated. Next, I've started a while loop, and in the while loop, I have called create chapters for title, the first function that we wrote. And I've just passed the title which we have received from the user input. Now, after that, I'm just taking the user input. And if the user is pressing Y, so as a text I've provided, are you satisfied with the created chapters? Press Y for yes, or any other key to recreate. So if the user presses Y, then that means the user is satisfied with the generated chapters and subheadings. In that case, the program will just continue. Otherwise, it will recreate chapters and subheadings. Next, what we need to do is that we need to read the contents of this chapters.json file. And let's say if I am not willing to include this subheading as a part of our ebook, then what we can do is that we can just delete this while we are proofreading the chapters and the subheadings, and just save this file. So when our program will proceed further, it will read contents from this chapters.json file, right? So let's do it now. I'll create a variable called chapters, and then I will open the file chapters.json, and I will just read the contents of this file and store it in the chapters variable. So after that, we just need to iterate through the chapters and the subheadings under those chapters. So we will just do it using a for loop, and we are just using the chapters.items, and we are getting the chapter name and the subheadings, and then we are going through all the subheadings for those chapters. Now, for creating the content of the subheadings as well, we want to have some sort of retry mechanism, wherein if we are not satisfied with the content that is generated, we can just ask it to generate once more. So for that, I'll create a new variable called recreate, and we will go on until the recreate is true, and we will call the create chapters content function, which we have written before. And we are just passing the title, the chapter, and the subheading as a parameter, and we are getting back the contents. Right now, what we are doing next is that we are taking the user input. If the user is pressing R, then that means the user is asking for recreation, and otherwise it will just proceed to the next subheading of the chapter. So if you see this function, you can see that we are also printing the response that we have got from ChatGPT. So let's say if you're not satisfied while you're proofreading your content, then in that case, you can just press R in the program and it will recreate the content again for you. So if the user is happy with the content that is generated, we just have to write the content to our final ebook file. So for that, let's do it inside of this check. If it is not a create, then we are opening a new file. File name will be the title of the ebook, and we are opening it in the append mode so that we can keep adding content to the same file. And then we will simply write the content to the file using this line of code. So after our program has generated content for all the chapters and for all the subheadings, let's print a few lines to know that our program has completed. And also let's call the main function. So we will write it over here. So there is one last feature that I want to include in this program. So let's say we don't want to do any proofreading and we want to generate an ebook as fast as possible. So we should be able to do it in autopilot. So let's create a new variable called autopilot. And if the value of the autopilot is true, it will not ask for user input to recreate or not. So there will be no proofreading and it will just proceed to the next subheading. So let's do autopilot. So initially let's set it to false. After that, let's write not autopilot. And so when it is not on autopilot, only then it will ask for user input to recreate or not. Otherwise, it will just append the content when it is on autopilot. So now let's run our program and see how it goes. So I will do Python main.py. And for the title of the ebook, let's enter how to cook Indian cuisine. And let's press enter. Okay, so it has given me the chapters for my ebook. And if I go to this file, you can see that it has given me the chapters and the subheadings, which looks good. It is asking me if I am satisfied with the created chapters, and let's press Y. Yes, I'm satisfied. And after that, it starts to generate content for this subheading, right? So after a while, it gave us content for this subheading. And it is asking me if I want to recreate or not. I don't want to recreate, so I'll just press any other key and press enter. So as I press enter, you can see that a new file is created, which is by the name of the ebook title. And over here, you can see that the content is appended. So I don't want to create any more chapters, so I'll just press Ctrl C. Okay, so the title and the thumbnail of this video claims that you can generate an ebook in just 8 minutes. So let's try that next. So I've opened up a timer along with my code base. And now let's see how long it takes to generate an ebook, a complete ebook. So first of all, let's set the autopilot as true. And now let's run our program. So I will do Python main.py and enter. So after I've entered the title of the ebook, I'll hit start on the timer and let's see how long it takes. So for the title, I'll enter how to write a children's book effectively. So this will be the title of my ebook. Now before hitting enter, I will start the timer and enter. So it took like 15 seconds to generate the chapters. And if we look at the chapters, so these are the chapters and these are the subtopics. Let's say I am satisfied with the chapters. I'll press Y and I'll hit enter. Now it has started to generate the content for the chapter and the subheadings. So let's wait for the program to finish and let's see how long it takes. This is truly unbelievable. It created an entire ebook with 10 chapters, and each of these chapters had 4 subtopics, and it took just about 8 minutes for the program to complete. So let's have a look at the ebook that is generated. So this one is the ebook. Let me close the terminal from here and this one from here, and I will just do this. And you can see that this is the content of the ebook, and it is a complete ebook that is generated. And if you see at the lines, so there are about 746 lines of text that is generated. So this is how you can use ChatGPT APIs and Python to create ebooks. Now all of the code that we have written in this video, a GitHub link to that will be provided in the description below. Just simply follow the readme file and you should be able to set it up and run it on your own machine. So do let me know in the comments below which ebooks you created with this program. So this is one of the thousands of ways in which ChatGPT APIs can be used. And if you want to see more such use cases, do subscribe to the channel. So in the code that we wrote in this video, we have enabled JSON mode. So if you would like to know more about the JSON mode, you can check out my other video over here. And if you would like to create your own ChatGPT UI with your custom backend, you can check out my other video over here. I will meet you there.